Hi, hello everyone, wherever you are picking up from the Enactus operation around the world. Welcome especially to our students, to many faculty advisors, people from business. Welcome to this session on the future of work. And it couldn't be more relevant when so much is going wrong in the area of the possibilities of retaining work as a result of coronavirus, but so much innovation is creating new work. And we're getting very focused on using fascinating skills we may not have used before, but we're also learning that we need to be ready for dramatic and significant change. So I've got a wonderful panel of people with me, and they're going to give us the wisdom that all of us seek to and want to have. I've got Gonzalo Birch, who is the Chief Executive Officer of BIC, Lena Nair, Chief HR Officer for Unilever, Andrew Morlett, Chief Executive Officer of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, Michelle Maljecki, Chief Global Head of Social Impact for HP, and Joseph Onaji, who is an Enactus alumni from Nigeria. So I'm going to start off, if I may, with Lena. And Lena, you're with Unilever, and Unilever is one of the biggest employers manufacturing in the world. So just come straight with us. How many jobs will you maybe lose in the next decade because machines make what people now do?
You know, any company of any size and scale must think about the reshaping of workforce. I would say between 10 to 20% of the workforce in the next decade or so for most companies would be impacted by digitization, automation. But I'm a huge optimist because I see 20% jobs may be reducing, but I see an equal number of jobs coming up digital in digital planning, in automation, in robotics, in digital marketing, which is the hallmark of any consumer goods company. So I see that both these forces will help us create new jobs as well. So we'll reshape the old jobs, but we'll create the new jobs. So I'm an optimist. I think the bigger challenge of our times is to reskill people and to match the people to the right opportunity. I think that's a bigger challenge of our time.
And so do you think that the energy necessary, the financing, the resourcing necessary for reskilling is your duty as an employer, as a manufacturing employer, or is it the duty of governmental systems?
I do think we all have to come together. The task is huge. So in Unilever, for example, we call it the future of work approach. We're putting every person through creating a future fit plan. What differentiates us is what we call inspire, prepare, and match. What do I mean by that? We are putting all 100% of our workforce through purpose work workshops where they work on discovering their passion and purpose, because we believe that you learn the most in your areas of passion. You don't learn general things just because they're available. You learn things you're passionate about. So we're putting everybody through this process. Then we work with them to create a future fit plan that says, what are the skills of the future that you need to learn, get accredited for? And then how do you match to the right opportunities through internal talent matching platforms that allow you to get matched to the jobs? I believe responsible employers like Unilever have to play a role in the economies they are part of. And Unilever is blessed to be in 190 countries. And in each of these countries, we have a big job to play in ensuring we are skilling up youth and we are skilling up people who could be impacted by automation and robotics, both in manufacturing, in sales, and in marketing.
Now, Michelle, your company is doing a remarkable job at providing skills-based development platforms. Just tell us about, and you've been scaling up even during the course of this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, at HP, we actually have, full stop, a commitment to enable better learning outcomes for 100 million people by 2025. And so this was made well before COVID. I think right now there's an amazing opportunity to think, to your point, Lord Hastings, around what does skilling mean? We talk about jobs of the future, we talk about skills of the future. So what does that actually mean today, right? Particularly in this time of change where we're seeing progress around things like Sustainable Development Goal number 4, moving backwards, unfortunately. And so as we think about how do we close, for example, the digital divide, a company like HP we have different programs. So one of them, for example, is called HP Life. It's a completely free learning platform that we have. It's part of our HP Foundation. It's right now offered in 7 languages. And what it really is a sweet spot. It's 30 minutes or less. Folks can come on board, take a course, register and join the HP Life family. And we're seeing a number of courses kind of skyrocket right now during COVID. Social media marketing, for example. We know folks are looking for skills. We know businesses are going online. And so we're able to say, here's some skills that you can use. Take this platform at your own pace and give it a go. We're also seeing a lot of uptake around some of the critical thinking skills we offer, like design thinking. So that's a great class that I would encourage folks to check out in the event that that's helpful on the journey. And then this all kind of ladders into other efforts. So as an example, we're currently running this annual competition we have called Be Changemaker. And here we ask for global teams of young people from around the world to tell us their social business idea. So loving this as well for a lot of the participants with Enactus, and thinking about how can you change the world through a business. Take some HP Life courses along the way, and then through HP, what we're going to help you do is get some access to HP employees who will be your mentors along the way. And for your live pitches, you'll be in front of some judges and actually get real feedback on how your business is going to run and things that you can think about for the future. So I love seeing this. I love seeing the opportunities we can have to create digital and meaningful collaboration, and look forward to scaling these programs even further in the years and months to come.
And is all this available free anywhere to anyone who, and is there an age limit on this?
Yeah, for HP Life, it's part of our commitment to lifelong learning. Anyone, anywhere, please check it out, sign up, become part of the HP Life family. We've had over 800,000 people take courses since 2012, so join us. And for Be Changemaker specifically, we are looking for young people. So encourage you again to come on board and take part in these programs. It is always free, and it always will be.
So Gonzo, you're a manufacturer. And at BIC, and how is the world of work changing for you?
It's been a slow evolution over the last decade, right? So part of it is automation, robotization that you talked about, but like Lena said, you have a balance, right? Where one job might have gone away in manufacturing, another one or 5 were created in digital marketing, data science, and even field sales force. Or we got into India in a big way. Today we have 500 people in India on the field in store. And you all of you talked about passion of work, right? And what I think is really interesting is, on the one hand, that's passion and that's engagement, and it's curiosity, which is one of those things I feel really is important that young people demonstrate and be open. And COVID's amazing for that, because what better time to look around us? But there is a responsibility for the employer. So one of the things we do in all the different manufacturing areas that we have around the world is provide local upskilling and teaching opportunities. Some of that is as simple as going from a mechanic or operator 1 to an operator 3 to a supervisor through a cadence program. There is an element also of train the trainer, right? Because when you go back and you work and you become an upstanding member of your community, you give back, you take responsibility, and you inspire youth, it has this massive positive effect. And as a company, we made a commitment to improve the learning conditions of 250 million people around the world by 2025. And last year we did 61 million. This year, the teams, are telling me they're actually really excited about doing new things that are going to get us to even bigger numbers. This is an opportunity. COVID is absolutely an opportunity for businesses to lead for good.
And so as you look at your processes and you look at your own people, that's kind of like beside those who are coming onto platforms to learn from you, how adaptable are you seeing employees who've been around with you for, because BIC is an old company, you've been around a long time. How adaptable are people?
My gray hair is showing. They're extremely adaptable, right? Because adaptivity is a function of engagement, curiosity, and passion. We've got people, who are 60 plus choosing to learn digital marketing or data science and try their hand at different things. Some of that, of course, is through the evolution of organization, but a lot of it comes from curiosity and desire. Now, maybe it's because they're young, college-aged grandchild who's an Enactus student told them that they might want to think about it. But fundamentally, I just think that as humans, we want to better ourselves, we want to better our communities, and we see that in the factory environment, in the office environment, all over the world.
And so, Andrew, you've, with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, your emphasis is strongly on the circular economy, that we all need to, as it were, consume less, but also recycle and reuse and return much of what we do consume, which might imply that that's going to be less work for fewer people. But how are you supporting the growth of work in the circular economy?
Well, I think the characterization of the circular economy that you just gave is interesting, and it's one that many people have. They view the circular economy as something like better recycling or less waste, but it's actually a much bigger idea than that. It's an idea that talks to the nature of the economy generally, and shifting from extractive and consumptive models to ones where we look at product service systems in the context of the total system. So we talk about an economy that is much more distributed, diverse, and inclusive, based on renewables, renewable energy and materials more, and one that keeps the value of the economy in the economy, whether it's technical materials or whether it's the biological cycles. So we think of the total system and the way in which we can, by design, think about an economy that is creating value and eliminating waste, whether it's material waste or whether it's human resource waste. It's a very holistic way of thinking of a worldview, if you like, of the economy, and how actors in that range from massive multinational companies to smallhold farmers in developing markets to individual entrepreneurs to creativity and innovation within big companies that can actually have a fundamental influence on systems and the way in which they operate. So we see the circular economy as being a massive opportunity to capture the waste that is currently within the system, whether it's people, whether it's resources, the way we use resources, the way we dispose of things. So it's a bigger idea, and there is trillions of dollars of value that is currently lost in material value, let alone thinking about the possibility of a much more distributed, diverse, and inclusive economy that involves everybody and much more in a distributed way, that is much lower energy and much lower waste. So there is a tremendous amount of economic and employment opportunity within that model, we believe. I do think it's very, very difficult to really forecast the shape of employment in the future because of the digital technological changes. It's very difficult to really understand, where the opportunities exist, and it has, I think, profound implications for anybody who is coming into the market, who is a young 15, 20-year-old who's thinking about their career and prospects in the future, because whatever you think it's going to be radically different. We are going to see an enormous amount of change, not only in the way in which technology applies, but the way in which the economy functions, because it has to radically shift from where it is today to something that's much more regenerative, restorative, renewable, based on renewable energy, etc. And that's, so it has profound effects, implications for anybody thinking about their career or their work life and how they continue to learn, evolve, and be part of it.
Well, Andrew, given what you've just said there, which is to position this very clearly around how students, so obviously all of our Enactus students are thinking about what happens after university. So this is really a point I'm going to put to all four of you and ask you to, as it were, in turn, just say how you feel about it. So how do you feel the world of work might look in 10 to 20 years' time? Does it mean, for example, that those who have work as we understand it now, may need to do a bit less of it so we can spread the work around a bit more? Should we be working 4 days a week rather than some places 5 or 6 days a week? Question one. Number two is, for our students, as they think about what next, is the resume, the CV, is it dead? Is it all about skills rather than I did this, I did that, I did the next thing? How do you look at those two criteria? Lena, why don't you kick off?
Yeah, the first advice I would always have is relax. Nobody really knows the answers, but if you have a good sense of learning agility, a good sense of purpose, and some resilience, we'll all be fine. My own personal story, I did electronics and telecommunications engineering. I worked as a telecom engineer for 3-4 months. I was a lousy engineer because the only times I really sparked up was when I had interactions with people in the day. And I went to my dad and I said, I want to do human resources. And he said, who does human resources? It's a back office function. Nobody could care about human resources. And, I went into human resources not even knowing what exactly that was. But I knew that I had a calling around wanting to do stuff that got people to be the best that they can be. So you sort of discover it along the way. And then, I learned many lessons. Don't wait for the perfect job. Take the job you have and make yourself fall in love with it by dialing up the elements that you love to do. So my first advice would be just relax. Nobody can predict the future. Nobody can predict. And in many ways, I joke about it that I've finally gotten relevant because this is the era of head and heart. And this is the time when data and inspiration is coming together. And guess what? The engineering side of me and the human resource side of me is coming together beautifully during a time of digital transformation. So that's one thing I would say. I definitely, if I had to pick up 3 principles, I would say one is flexibility. We're going to see huge amount of flexibility and personalization. People are not going to work in the same way. Some people are going to work for 5 years, take a sabbatical for 5, do something else after that. People are going to work 6 weeks with one employer, 6 weeks with another one. Some are going to work 3 days a week, some are going to work 5 days a week. So I see flexibility in a very, very big way offered by companies. Number 2, I see personalization and choice being exercised. Even after COVID, we're seeing 50% of our people don't want to come back right now. 50% want to come back, but only 8% want to come back for 5 days a week. So already the norms and assumptions and beliefs of how work has to be done has changed in the last 6 months. So I would say personalization and choice will become very, very important. People will do things differently because that's what it suits them. And the third thing I would dial up is the sense of purpose. You can have the biggest impact when you think you're being a force for good in the world, when you think you're really solving one of the biggest problems that the world around us has, that gives you meaning, that gives you a sense of drive. So I would say, watch out for flexibility, personalization, and purpose.
Gonzalez, what would you say?
So I'm very aligned with Lena. I think that I have no idea what it will be 10 years from now. I know it'll be radically different. I had the exact same experience as you, and even further. I think some people want to say, I want to work at night. I don't want to work during the day. Or here's how I want to do things. And we, as companies, employers, big or small, need to be focused on outcome, not hours. And respect people's choice, because you aspire to X and that requires X amount of work. He aspires to Y and it requires that amount of work. The second, to your question, is the resume dead? No. But the one that I wrote 25 years ago with lots of bullet points, yes, that one is dead. Thank God. Now they come in all sorts of colorful shapes and sizes. I got the other day a video from random cold call email through LinkedIn. And it was a great video, 3 minutes on why the person was passionate about a very specific role in our company. Forward to the hiring manager because you showed curiosity, determination, and a real will. I get 25 a day that are form letters that are sent to every CEO that they can possibly find. Not forwarding those on because I don't think that they really want to embrace our purpose and our passion and our mission. But fundamentally, as employers, our responsibility is not to fight the tide that's coming at us of the change. That is impossible, but to embrace it and to surf with it and find all the positive benefits for the youth. But I mean, because today we are talking about Enactus students, but even all those people that are in the workforce today that do have a job, some that have lost their job this year, we're going to have to bring those people back into the workforce over the coming 6, 12, 18, 24 months in purposeful jobs. And if they're open to doing something different, might require some training, we'll be much quicker and better apt to bring them back into productivity and therefore have them being part of society at large and being able to care for their families.
Andrew?
It's Michael, it's interesting because I agree with everything that's been said. And I was just reflecting that it's an interesting time because with social media and LinkedIn and all these things, trying to get cut through is really quite difficult. I think that you need to be persistent. You need to be really pretty thick-skinned and resilient. You need to keep trying because it can be difficult to break in when you're getting started. I think the resume is important. I think a few things that get undervalued is your communication skills and your ability to convey that you have integrity, or actually more it's you want to convey yourself as a real person and be real. You need to be yourself, but also let your skills show through as well. So resumes are important. I'm not sure about 3-minute videos. I get all sorts of things coming through, and it's a bit hit and miss. I really think it is. I do think you also need to think about who you're communicating with and what they're looking for, so that you're thinking about your audience. I think you need to be concise, and I think you need to also play to your strengths as much as your passions as you think about your career, because it's often hard to know what you're really good at when you're young. It's actually sometimes really hard to know what you really want to do because you have so many choices as well. But you have to keep working at it, and I think you have to keep conveying what you think you're good at, what you're personally good at, not just your qualifications and skills. I'm not sure about passion so much, but what you believe in and who you represent. So I think bringing your personality and your person into the employment, career, workspace, and is in the future is going to be even more important, because a lot of the other stuff is commoditized. It's very same, it's very much the same. So you need to be yourself, and you need to be different, and you need to try to bring that forward.
Michelle, do you go with the kill the CV resume and make it all skills, or how do you sit with this? Because you're developing skills, aren't you?
Yeah, and I think it's a great question, because for me, it kind of comes back to your initial question too around purpose. So the way I look at a resume, particularly with mine being very much a trajectory, I started out in banking, and this is why, Lena, I love your point about relax, because I started out in banking, and then I eventually found myself working for many years in Southeast Asia, doing microfinance, micro lending, microinsurance, and actually learning how to transplant rice in Cambodia. So never in my wildest dreams would I have thought this was going to be something on my career path. I've come back to the US. I'm clearly working at a tech company now. And so I think that point of relax is really a very good one, because I never would have predicted this in a million years. However, what I could have put my foot down on or said I would predict is the point of purpose. And I knew what I inherently wanted to do. I think to the point that was just expressed earlier, there was something that I knew I was very good at. I knew I wanted to connect people. I knew I wanted to ultimately think about the big question of how do we make the world a better place? And then from there, I do feel like with each stop along the way, I've learned different skills that have helped that. So, from banking, I've learned a lot about thinking about inclusive growth. How do we take skills that shape economies and create opportunities for shared prosperity? Coming to HP now, I'm thinking a lot about what does a digital divide look like, and how do we think about the fact that even before COVID, there were 260 million school children not going and getting their lessons and learning every day. And how can we use technology and truly make it as a great equalizer? And so when I think about skills, we have a number of global societal challenges and pressing issues today. We all are aware of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. We know the work that's cut out for us every year, and we're closer and closer to thinking about what that's going to mean. So for me, it's a skill that's going to evolve over time, and I would encourage folks to think about, how do you see your purpose guiding what that skill will ultimately look like?
But I know I always refer everyone that I have the opportunity to the World Economic Forum skills map, the 2022 skills. They kind of update them every so often. And so many of the different skills all four of you have mentioned are listed there as accelerating, moving forward. My quick next question, I suppose, conversational point to all of you is, if you had your time over again, well, really recasting all together, you've all said flexibility is very important. Of course, being relaxing is very important. Take it as it comes is important. Would you recommend that tomorrow's students focus more on the kind of science, technology, engineering, maths side of life, and less on arts, culture, experiences, in order to protect their opportunities for work? How do you see that balance? I mean, let me start with you, Andrew. How do you see that balance?
Well, I don't see it as a trade-off, actually, and I don't see it as a balance. I think, some people are inclined with their skills and strengths to be mathematical and scientific, and STEM is what's for them, and they should go for it. And there are others who are completely not like that. They have a completely different skill set. And I think one of the things going forward that is going to be super important in the workplace is diversity. And when I talk about diversity, it's radical diversity, not it's not just gender and sexual preference and race, etc. It's a very wide range of the way in which people think and can contribute. And I think what's really interesting is that I wouldn't try to predict one or the other and force yourself into one of those choices. I'd go with what you're strong with, and I would focus on developing yourself as a person, being a good person, being able to communicate and work in teams, because that is the future.
And Lena, your perspective before I bring Joseph in?
A lot what Andrew said. I think the future is multidisciplinary. All these barriers and silos we've built, I think they're all going to be broken down. You have to combine the head and the heart. You have to bring the power of data and the power of creativity in everything you do. In fact, many of the routine, repeatable tasks are going to be done by machines or machine learning or AI. So it is human creativity, problem solving, things that are uniquely human that are going to be valued more. So to me, you have to work at interdisciplinary things. I think we must challenge courses which are, this is arts, this is humanities, this is science. We must challenge educational institutions to start combining things, machine and human augmentation, create those things which are more multidisciplinary, which bring the head and heart together.
Yeah,
I agree. Let me bring Joseph in, and he's coming in from Nigeria, which is a country massively impacted negatively for employment by the collapse in it. Well, let me not use the word collapse, but certainly the downturn on the economy has been savage in Nigeria, as you all know, Joseph. What's your, before you get to ask your question, let me ask you this question, Joseph. The world of work, it's easy for those of us in the UK and the US, and we can talk easily about technology and work. How does it feel for you and your friends in where you are?
Well, thank you so much, Lord Michael and our panelists. I've learned so much. So just to answer that question, for me and my colleagues who have graduated or are still in school, it feels a little bit distant because, being firstly, an Enactus student, you get into this world where you see opportunities, you dare to take, risk, and you solve problems. But then when you graduate and you get into the society, it's almost a different reality where I am in developing economy. So sometimes it's hard for you to connect back to your passion and just try to, find something, anything, probably not even related to your career or your purpose, just to secure your future, right? And it's a bit scary, but when we hear stories and remember the actions we've taken for others, I can speak for myself and a few Enactus students in Nigeria. It reminds us that anything is possible if we put our minds to it, and the ideas will come up and the opportunities will present itself.
Okay, thank you. So go on. I know you've got a question you want to ask.
Yes, two actually, if you permit me. So the first question is for Lena. Like you spoke earlier, it feels a little bit distant and it gets scary when you step out of school in countries like this. You spoke about us, trying to relax. I just wanted to ask, how can we relax when, you are aware of the needs and urgencies that is present in the world, talking about climate change, a more equal world, and the need for us to secure our future? How do we relax and not get scared or be overwhelmed and lose hope? And then the second question is, I think you could also lead that, and I would like to hear from the rest, is passion. We've spoken about passion and performance. How do you balance both? How do you, in your career or your workplace, how do you balance your passion and what is required of you to deliver where you work?
Some great questions there. I'll try and give my perspective. When I said relax, what I meant was the stress and overwhelm around us almost paralyzes us from taking action. So I'm absolutely with you. We must take action. We must, and as young people, you have such a big role to play. But we have to do it from a more relaxed space, when things are tough around you, when genuinely the job market is down, when jobs are not being posted, when thanks to COVID, 100,000 young people, even in the UK, have lost their jobs. You've got to think about what is that in my control that I can do? What are the levers that I can exercise about what I can do? Because you can just get panicked saying, oh my God, it's all overwhelmed, I have no opportunities. So the levers that you have is, how can I make myself skill ready? That's in your hands. How can I make sure that I'm able to have my resume and skill updated in a manner that will clutter break or capture attention? That is a lever within your control. You can ask yourself, how can I make sure I'm using networks of people more effectively to try and reach the opportunities I want? So what I really meant was, you've got to make sure you are in a state of mind where instead of having panic and overwhelm and feeling paralyzed into, oh my God, everything seems to be going wrong, into a more positive mind frame of saying, okay, let me take this one step at a time. What are the things I can control? What are the levers I can use? That's really what I was trying to say.
And the second point?
I forgot the second question. I'm so sorry.
Just repeat it again.
Okay.
Clearly, I'm getting old. The glasses are not just...
It's fine.
Just remind me the concise nature.
Yes, the second question is about passion and performance. How do you balance that as you build your career as a young person?
It's I'm a huge believer in purpose, sense of purpose. I said earlier, we are putting 160,000 people in Unilever to discover their purpose. This is because I believe your highest performance comes from the areas you're purposeful about. Yeah. Let me give you an example. My purpose is to ignite the human spark to build a better business and a better world. Yeah. And that gives me a lot of drive and energy. I'm talking to investors saying, please reinvent the profit and loss account. In the 21st century, people can't be in the cost line alone. Even brands have intangible value. Why don't people have potential and intangible value? I'm out there talking to other boards, members saying, put human capital at the top table. Human capital is a competitive advantage. I'm talking to McKinsey saying, rewrite the kind of stuff you're writing about human resources because the function has changed in the last 30 years. So because it comes from a deep sense of purpose, I don't see this as work. I say every day being in service of people in Unilever, doing my life's work. So in many ways, your performance rises in areas that you're purposeful about. Yeah. So I believe purpose and performance go together. The more purposeful you are, the more drive and determination you have to perform exceeding your own expectations.
Gonzalez, how do you feel about that?
I love it. And since we're doing alliteration, I'm going to add my own P to the equation, which is pride, which I think when you find the intersection between performance and passion, no matter what age you are or where you come from, you're going to be proud of what you do. So if you want to be, if you want to head up a business unit at Unilever, be proud of what that business unit does. If you want to work in a plant at Unilever on line 14 on machine 12, be proud of that machine. And that unlocks tremendous potential for all of us. And, you know, we have to respect that across the world, not everybody is as fortunate as our Enactus students to have university degrees or the access to technology. And that's really about giving back. And again, as long as you're doing that as the Enactus students to those around you, I think you're going to find a tremendous performance and passion in your life.
Joseph, did you have another question you want to ask?
Yes, but it just results in saying, how would you, tell young people to build their careers moving forward? Just one little thing I observed is a lot of challenges. There's need for urgency, especially in brands now. We're calling on brands to step up. Quick question. Is the urgency or challenges so much on the brands that more startups are needed to be more focused on solving social problems? Or you're saying develop this set of skills and come join us?
Michelle?
Yeah, I would say that's a great question. And I think it's a combination, right? And I actually want to give you a figure that kind of maybe shows how at HP we can think about, for example, aligning purpose around skills around the different organizations that we would work with as partners. And so something that I've noticed has shifted is the fact that folks are understanding now the real purpose of creating shared value. And so how do we truly think about, the way that we work as a company, doing better for our society while also bettering business, whether that's through our partnerships and who we work with or the people that we hire. And to give you a number and an example, something that I love to talk about is because people here, I'm part of the sustainable impact team, I lead social impact. They very much can see it as just a philanthropic type role. But what I like to communicate to people is that our actual business that was driven by sustainable impact last year in 2019 drove $1.6 billion in new sales revenue for HP. And to me, that is huge because it talks about you can have purpose. I think to Lena's point earlier, you can have purpose no matter what you're doing, whether you're a company working with us or you're someone within the organization. You don't have to be on a particular team to contribute to that kind of a number. You can think about ways to solve global challenges within the world, but ultimately, as long as you're working for yourself or for an organization that supports that, you can contribute at that kind of a level.
And Andrew, purpose is everything, isn't it, for where you're at?
I think purpose is really important. I think the challenge here is not try to oversimplify things and be too reductive, because again, I think this is really about whole people, and people are complicated and they've got a lot of dimensions to them. I think purpose is important. I think I keep coming back to actually you need to work out what you're good at. You need to work out how you can contribute. You need to work out what you want to contribute to. You need to work out what makes you happy as a person and what fulfills you. And it can be a range of things, and it can often be many things at once. And, you shouldn't judge your success on the status of the company, the amount of money you make. You should, judge your success in the way that you feel good, how you feel, your purpose can be being kind to people in the street as much as it can be changing the world. I truly believe that, you need to work out what you're good at, work out how to be a good person in the world and what makes you happy, and a lot of things will flow. You need to build skills, specific skills that people will pay for, and you need to be really good at something in this day and age, whatever it is. It's not enough just to be passionate. I'm massively passionate about classical music, but I'm never going to be able to play it. You need to know where you fit, and you need to work that out, and that can be a life's challenge to really understand that, actually.
Well, thank you, all of you. It's been a really illuminating and positive conversation. We all stare into the world of work and the future of work, which affects every one of us, whether we are nearing retirement, on retirement, grey head, white head, black head, no head. But we are all looking at it with some curiosity, deeply grateful for the skills that every company is providing, not just for its people, but more widely, enabling the world to retool and having people have optimism and energy as well as relaxation. Love that, Lena. We'll all go away with longing for the relaxation that you've suggested. But getting ready for this remarkable and differentiated world, coronavirus sort of forced it on us. And this is just the beginning of the radicalization that we thought we could push away for a bit longer, but we're having to embrace it. I suppose one of my overriding hungers is that we, before too long, cease to be just flat one-dimensional screen people and begin to emerge into the fullness of our rounded experiences and have many more opportunities to bump across one another. And certainly when it comes to the Enactors World Cup 2021, it better be in person. This is joyful, but boy, do we want to see we want to hear the noise and see the flags and have the drama of the whole experience in front of us. So thank you to all of you. It's a great panel. I think, Shannon, you're just about to reappear. So we are concluding our session on the future of work. Thank you to my wonderful panel. Thank you, Joseph, for joining us and for your specific questions. Anybody who's looking for specific skills to develop, there we are. HP is promoting clearly that they're available to all, and we all should think positively about the reality of a circular world, the circular economy, our duty to protect for the future and to plan for the future. But thank you all, and good night.
Thank you.